Hello everybody, it is I, Young Strategist Gaming here today, and I'm going to be telling you the 7 best weapons in Half Sword. Now this game has many different weapons, and I'm actually going to be organizing these weapons by these different classes here, because weapons evolve as armor evolves. When the enemy has stronger armor, you may need to resort to using different types of weapons for different purposes. So there will be many different good weapons. And this is all opinionative. All of the weapons in the game have their strengths and weaknesses, but this is just my opinion for what's the best. The first class on this list is the Peasant, and the weapon for this tier or class is the knife, because you can quickly stab your enemies, and since they are also peasants, they have no armor to protect them from the knives. And it is very quick to use the knife, and very easy, so that's what I'm going to be using. So, I'm going to play a few games until I find a Carnage where we can actually demonstrate the knife. So in the Carnage, you have a knife. Darn! And you can use this to quickly dispatch your enemies, stabbing them or slashing, and since they have no armor, they will either bleed to death or just instantly die once you hit them. It might take a few good slashes if you're not very accurate, but if you can hit them in the neck or the face, they can die almost instantly. And I've won. Now, to the next class. Next, with our second class, we have the Farmer, and the weapon of choice for this class is the pitchfork. Now this weapon, since it is a long pitchfork, it is very good at keeping distance, and you can skewer people. It's very simple to use, similar to that of a spear or a billhook. And so you just hold it out in front of you and charge in, boom, stab them, they're dead. And it's almost instantaneous. I'll demonstrate it a second time. It's super easy to use, and if the enemy closes the distance before you can actually stab them, like that, you can just swing at them. Or, well, I mean, in my case, I'm dead, but, trust me, it's better. I'm just bad at using it, but it's not that bad. Charge in, boom. As soon as you stab them, it doesn't matter where, in the heart, in the face, in the arm, or the leg, they will just immediately surrender. I'm not sure why. But yeah, that's why the pitchfork is so good. On to the next class. Next, we have Tier 3, which is what I call the Merchant, but it's just any medieval citizen, looks like maybe a bit of a wealthy noble or something, and they have a sword. And so this is the best weapon for this class because you can quickly eliminate people, and due to having a severe lack of armor, you can quickly strike them and get them out of the fight really quick. Boom, in the stomach. And now he's dead. I will do one more time, because that was so quick. I'm gonna demonstrate again. Boom, right through the head. And it's super easy. You just kind of swing like this and just hit them. Or if you want to be more methodical, you hold it behind your head and then swing, and it should hit them either in the torso or the head. So yeah, with that being said, we are done with Tier 3 already, and we are moving on to the next class. The next class is Tier 4, which is what I like to call the Soldier, and they have a little gambeson, so they are not heavily armored, but they are better armored against the lighter weapons used before, and so I recommend to use the Spear for similar reasons as the Pitchfork. You hold it out in front of you, and charge, and boom. If that doesn't work, you can use it as a slashing weapon with the end of the blade, like this, and then you can back up, get some distance, and run in for like a stab. Sometimes you don't even need to stab. If you just hit them with the pole of the spear, they'll just die or get knocked over. And the reason why this is so good is that it creates distance between you and your opponent. This guy, with his sword, you can see him slashing. He really can't hit me with this spear, because if he tries to approach, I'll stab him. So then that gives me room to maneuver. Anyways, as I was saying, you can use it to create distance with your opponent, unless they also have a spear, and then you can hit them with it. You can knock them out even if you hit them hard enough in the head, or you can charge at them like this and just impale them straight through the heart. For this class, other good things are like this spiked spear, because, well, but it also is under the group of spear, because you can stab people, impale them, or you can hit them with the spikes, which has a devastating effect when striking. On to the next class. The next class, Tier 5, is what I like to call the Sergeant, because they have slightly heavier armor. And the weapon of choice for this one is the billhook. You can also use that for Tier 4, the Soldier. It is also quite effective alongside the Spear. The reason why I choose the billhook for Tier 5 instead of the Spear is because while it can also stab, albeit weaker than the Spear, since you now have this chest plate and armor, it is a lot harder to penetrate enemy armor with just a stab. And the good thing about a billhook is that it's very maneuverable, and you can use it to stab, but also slash at people, as well as come in for devastating, crushing blows over the head. I'll demonstrate now. And if you half-sword it, you can get really quick knockouts at close quarters, like that. And now he's on the ground, and then boom, hit him in the neck. He's dead. And so, this weapon is very useful against some medium armor, like this gambeson and the chest plate and the shield that these guys have, which is better than the previous classes. It also, like the spear, gives you distance on your opponent, and is quite accurate if used correctly. Boom, just stuck his leg, and yeah, he's out of the fight. He's not doing anything after that. And so yeah, with that being said, on to the next class. Alright, the next tier, Tier 6, is what I like to call the Man-at-Arms. And my favorite weapon for this class, and in my opinion the best, is the longsword, because you can use it to exploit weaknesses in enemy armor, and it's very quick to eliminate, if you use it correctly. Now, while during these few classes I actually switched off of the sword, because the opponents often had armor, once you get heavy enough armor to actually close the distance with your enemy, like in this tier, then you are able to close the distance much easier, and are able to actually use the sword more effectively again. This longsword also has a lot of range to it, and you can very quickly get an elim if you strike them in the leg and knock them down, like that. Or, if you're very accurate, you can go for the neck, which is my personal favorite strike that I can do in this game, just overall, with the longsword. If the enemy has a shield, that can be difficult, but what I like to do is get my sword under their shield and hit them in the legs, because once you knock them down, they're basically out of the game. Sometimes you need to back up to clear the distance with this one, because once you're in this tier, you have some heavier armor and can get winded easier. But oftentimes, you can quickly strike under the shield with the longsword and kill the enemy. Because in Tier 6, even though we have heavy armor, there are still large gaps in between the plates, unlike the next class. These next two tiers I group into the category of knights. The 7th tier is lighter, and the 8th tier is heavier armor. So for the 7th tier lighter knight armor, I choose the poleaxe, because it can stab, it has a blunt side that you can quickly strike the enemy in the head with and get a quick knockout, and it has a blade, because while they do have incredibly heavy armor, there are still gaps you can exploit if you get lucky enough. So I'm going to demonstrate using the poleaxe. You can get really quick knockouts if you just knock them over with the poleaxe, because this thing has a ton of weight to it, and it gives you quite a distance against your opponents who might have a sword or something. Now, with the knights, the sword becomes almost obsolete because it cannot get enough distance on the knight, and once you close it, there's not enough armor, or, sorry, there's too much armor for you to actually penetrate it with the sword. So that's why you need to rely on something heavier, like this, that can quickly knock out your enemy. I'll demonstrate again with the poleaxe. Now you might think, oh, you're losing with the poleaxe. This guy's using another form of the poleaxe. It's a... Well, actually, that's a great axe. But it is an axe on a pole, so therefore, same thing. So that is just proof that it works so well. You can also half-sword your poleaxe if you want to get more close-range blunt damage and knockouts. I like to knock my opponents over once I get close range like this, and just kind of push them while half-swording until they're on the ground, and then they quickly submit. If they don't, and they still get up, then just continue to beat them until they die. Although, I'm heavily wounded right now, so I don't know if I can actually get this guy to submit right now. I'll try. Let's see. Oh. You can also use, as you saw there, you can use the poleaxe to block against other handled weapons, like spears or other poleaxes, because you can use the long handle to block the other handle. Anyways, on to the next tier. For tier 8, the Heavy Knight, I like to move away from bladed weapons and move to blunt weapons, such as the mace with the shield. That is a very good combination. However, this one blunt weapon reigns supreme at getting quick knockouts and half sorting, and that is the polehammer. This polehammer has all the strength of the poleaxe in heaviness and quick strikes with a ton of power behind it, but without the drawbacks of being a bit slower, because this thing no longer has a blade, and it does not really require accuracy. With this one, it's just very heavy, and you just have to bash your enemy in the head until they die. Instant knockdown. Let's see here. Hit him in the head again. Once you hit someone in the head with a pole hammer, they are done. Even though they still get up, you see how he's staggering and he's still stuck on the ground? Yeah, he's not... You see how he's limping on one foot? Yeah. You hit someone in the leg with the poleaxe, or polehammer, well, with the poleaxe too, it will just break their legs and they will start limping and they can't do anything. And that strike to the head, you saw that, that just completely annihilated it. Well, anyways, that's gonna be the end of the video, so make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. It's absolutely free. And if you have differing opinions than me on what the best weapons are, make sure to leave it down in the comments below, and I'll be glad to have a discussion with you.